Larkin, and everyone will also have an opportunity to answer the question. Do you believe that the Arizona law regarding immigration is the best path for states to take in addressing the critical issue? And subsequently, if deporting 11 million people is not a practical solution, how should we deal with those currently here without proper documentation?
I believe there are better ways of handling it, although the Arizona immigration law is pretty similar to the federal law, so I'm not sure why everyone is so upset. But my feeling about immigration is we need people to come here and work. We need a strong workforce. I don't have a problem with immigration. I don't think, hopefully most people do. But in a large entitlement society, there are going to be problems. We're already broke. We really can't afford the entitlements of people that are citizens here. So if we have a large number of illegal immigrants coming there and enjoying the entitlements also, and we're going broke, there's going to be a problem. I have ideas for things like performing health care that would make it a mute issue. I think we need to look at who we need in our workforce and who wants to come here and start letting people in that way. And how much time I got? And start looking at who's here already and how we can move them into the country if they are working, if they're not criminals. I don't understand why other states and unions and the laws are attacking the U.S. immigration law. Arizona has a right to defend itself, is my feeling. If they feel this is necessary, they shouldn't be attacked. Maybe we need to open a discussion about the topic.
Thank you, Ms. Larkin. Mr. Taylor, same question.
I think it's unfortunate that Arizona had to resort to what they did, but I think they did the right thing because someone had to stand up and cause the United States government to do what it was supposed to do in the first place. In 1984, under then President Ronald Reagan, we had a major an immigration reform plan, the Simpson-Mazzoli plan, I think it was. And at that point, we had a lot of amnesty. We had permanent residency, a couple million people. We formulated the H1, H2, A and B programs. And those are quota programs. Those are illegitimate programs. That's government saying to the industry how many people can come into the United States and work lawfully. That's a broken system. Government doesn't belong in that business. Free market enterprise belongs in that business. My plan is to close the borders immediately, because it's not just illegal or undocumented immigrants, it's drugs, it's other things that we don't want coming across, terrorists, who knows what's coming across that border. Close the border with military. Second, issue working visas to every unqualified, undocumented, issue working visas so they become legalized. Then they start into a process. That's not sanctuary, that's not that other term that they use. It is give them just a working visa and then institute an immigrantjobs.com where United States citizens have seniority at every job here in the United States. And when they're out of work, they can apply for those jobs that those working visa folks have. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Kabat, same question.
I agree with what Arizona did because of the lack of the federal enforcement of the laws that are on the books. I have a solution for illegal immigration that ties in with not sending our U.S. citizens to prison for lack of a job. Again, I'm proposing what I call the reset rule. It's at my website. It's 2 pages long, but I'm not going to be able to read it in a minute and a half. I'd be happy to read it to you if they give me adequate time. But under the conditions, I really would ask that you go to my website, carmelron.com, go to the article prior to the reset rule, which talks about our men and women going to prison for lack of a job, and then go into the reset rule. The reset rule, I've been told, is fair, it's unique, and it's honorable. And I highly appreciate your looking at it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kabat. Mr. Petersen.
First, regarding the Arizona law, it's basically a disaster. The Arizona community like we have here in Salinas, we can often see, some things happen that just shouldn't. And Arizona's doing that now on a statewide basis. We do need extensive overhaul of the immigration laws we have now. There could be a variety of ways to do it. I don't have a magic formula. Number one priority needs to be keep families together. We can also look at other nations that have successfully dealt with the issue. The Roman Empire. From the Roman Republic to the end of the Byzantine Empire was almost 2,000 years. They dealt with the issue for almost 2,000 years. They dealt with it two ways. The secondary way was they paid off a lot of countries to keep their people across rivers and things like that. But the most important thing that worked for the Romans for a long, long time was they just mixed in. The Roman troops were encouraged to intermarry with the natives. Everybody was encouraged basically to get along, and it worked.
Mr. Farr, second question, please.
Americans certainly have a right to determine who lives in this country. There's no doubt about that. And we have a big issue because there are 11 million people who don't have proper documentation. I'm a co-sponsor of the Comprehensive Immigration Reform, a bill that is supported by most of the businesses and chambers of commerce of the state. It has a jobs provision which would allow guest workers to come in. We certainly need them in the Salinas Valley. It's an alliance between the UFW and the sugar growers and other ag interests. The tourism industry is supporting jobs for people in that industry. But we need to make sure that when people come here that they, first of all, register, that they want to be legal, that they have a background check, so they've not committed any crimes, paid all their taxes, learn English, pass tests, and pay a fine for being undocumented. I support that, and that's all in the bill. The DREAM Act is also part of it to allow the best educated kids in our country who may not have papers but have been accepted to the best universities to get scholarships. The Arizona law is not the law that California law enforcement wants. It would be the worst thing to happen to Salinas is you try to do community policing. You don't want the people to be walking on the streets doing your policing, everybody afraid to talk to them and tell them what's going on. It's not supported by any of the law enforcement officers here in this community or in any of the 3 counties of the 17th Congressional District.
Thank you, Mr. Farr.